Hi, I'm Kristen from Rage Against the Minivan, and what I want to talk about today is internet use for kids and how to protect our kids from seeing stuff that they shouldn't see. I will tell you for me that this is kind of an area of interest and passion just because of my experience working as a marriage and family therapist. I really can't tell you how many times I had families come into my office distraught because their teen or preteen son or daughter was discovered looking at illicit materials online. So I guess if I could really just kind of say anything right from the get-go, it's this. If you have access to pornography on your computer, your teenager will probably look at it. I don't think I can say it more directly than that. And if you have any illusion that that's not going to be of interest to your kid, I really think you might be in la la land about that. Things are just really different from the way things were when we grew up. We didn't have access to pornography in the comfort of our own home or the comfort of our own bedroom. And kids are curious about sex. They are very curious, very interested in sex. I think it's really, really natural that if they have access to answers about sex on their computer and imagery about what that entails, they're going to look at it. And they're going to look at it at an age that is younger than what you think they're going to look at it. And so I have to say, kind of rip my hair out sometimes when I hear parents talk about how their kids have access to internet and how they're not really worried about it because they trust their kids, or because their kid hasn't shown any interest in that stuff, or they don't even seem interested in boys or girls yet. Here's what I think. I think if your kid has internet access and they can read, you should have every filter on your computer available to keep them from looking at imagery that they shouldn't be seeing. First of all, they can stumble on it. It's very easy to stumble on. I mean, you can be looking at YouTube clips and get a clip that comes up as a recommended next view that could be completely inappropriate. Second of all, they talk with their friends and they talk about this stuff a lot. And they get recommendations of sites they should go to and, things they should look at. So, protect your kids. And don't think that because you have girls, they're somehow immune to this, because they are not. They are curious too. So, like I said, I think anybody that has internet access in their home with kids that are old enough to read and old enough to operate a computer should have lots and lots of filters on your computer. Not only because the kids are curious, but because, I think we should, as adults, understand the negative consequences of children viewing pornography. Now, regardless of what your ideas are about adults viewing pornography, because I'm sure that they are vast and varied, but I think if you asked any mental health professional in terms of children viewing pornography, it's just not a good thing. They're not old enough to process that. In fact, I think for some ages, viewing hardcore pornography can have, as negative of an effect on a child's view of sexuality as early sexual exposure. And gosh, aren't we so protective of that? So the imagery, I think, really needs to be, guarded from our kids as well. So how do you do that? First of all, Personally, I think computers in bedrooms is a bad idea. I think that kids can be looking at their computers in a living room with adults. But even so, unless you plan on standing over their shoulder every minute of the day, which is doubtful, you should have some kind of internet filter or software on your computer that can keep kids from looking. There are a lot of software out there that sends you a report, and I think that's great, but I also think you need to have some kind of preventative software, because you don't want to be finding out that your kid has stumbled upon these sites after the fact. You want something that prevents it. What we use and what we really like in my home is a product called Safe Eyes, and it allows me to kind of set up the filters for what I don't want my kids to see, which for me also includes violence, and sexual imagery and hate sites, and then it blocks them from even being able to look at the site at all. And then we also use the XXX.com triplexchurch.com software that emails us any sites that people have attempted to look at. So it's kind of a double that way. But there are a lot of different filters out there. And I would love to hear from you guys as to what you do in your home. How do you protect your kids when they're online? What are your thoughts about kids? Do you think I'm paranoid, or do you think I'm right about kids wanting to look at sexual imagery? And what are you doing to protect your kids? What software, what programs, what steps have you taken to make sure your kids are safe when they're surfing?